As a man, two words come to my mind, and this is current as a man in today's world. And one word is possession.
Yep.
The other word is permission. We have an intimacy coach, and one of our homework assignments was for me to ask permission.
Consent language.
For, like, can I hug you?
Everything.
Vanessa, can I touch your butt? Can I put my hands here?
Y'all, it's a game changer. These Gen Zers, they know what they're doing.
And I mean, not to the point where it's like, every second, like it's annoying. It has to come naturally. But the times that, when I think about my 20s, like just the instinct to grope your girlfriend or smack her on the ass or without permission, grabbing her and saying that was romantic or affection. And if that's what they wanted, great, but I don't know that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's this kind of being programmed that way. It's the whole locker room. It's what it means to be a man. It could also be what I mistakenly has defined as masculinity, but that, of course, that's toxic, or can be. And so as a 50-year-old man, wait a minute, I have to ask my partner if I can touch her? What does that mean? Like that's so unromantic. But through that experience, I noticed how it impacted her. I think it made her. Well, you tell us. What did?
I mean, I have to say, obviously, I know the term consent language. We know what consent is, right? But when I had a woman sit across from me and give him this homework, and she was giving very specific examples, like Vanessa's in the kitchen making Logan, our daughter's lunch, and you come in the morning and you want to give her a hug. You say, "Are you available for a hug right now?" Or, she's doing something on her computer and you come up behind her and you say, "Is it okay if I touch your shoulders right now?" I started weeping. That's the God's honest truth. I was like, no one's ever asked me these questions before as a woman. Mm. I've never been asked if I was okay to be touched before, right? And it was like mind-blowing to me as a 40-year-old woman, like, why am I crying right now? But I think, not just as a woman, I think just individuals, as couples, this idea of control, right?
Yeah, it's like with control. And then the other P word is possession.
Yeah.
This idea that I don't, not only do I not possess you, I don't want to. Mm-hmm. That you cannot fulfill all of my needs. That instead of grabbing, holding, and what does that look like, right? And so I'm starting to now believe that if you are possessive, if you don't ask permission or consent, you're cracking that relationship container, right? You are possibly tracing old blueprints, starting, in locker rooms, pornography, all that kind of stuff, rolling that into your home. Over time, right? But a leaky faucet can drown you, right? So like over time, years and years and years, and then hardening and not growing or evolving, but tracing these old blueprints instead of new, and then you don't give yourself the new love experience, right? And so even today, as someone who, have studied this and I work with couples, I'm still, evolving, I'm still growing, I'm still learning. Yeah. And I think that's the whole point, is that love, it's formless and it's always going to change you in some way.
Yeah, and I think that's another point that we really wanted to bring into the room, right, is this idea that many of us have, again, you complete me, you're my other half, that relationships are somehow there to serve and complete us, right? Rather than relationships actually being a container for or an instigator for continued deepening work, right? Like I said about the mirror. Any relationship, again, not just romantic, they're all here to help us grow and to help us learn about ourselves and to help us evolve, right? And if we start to look at the relationships in our lives through that lens, it lets go of so much of the pressure on the other person of what they need to be for you, right? To make you feel safe, to make you feel secure, to make you feel loved and needed and desired, and all of these things that, of course, we desire as human beings. But those needs, those desires are not necessarily another person's job. And if we go into our relationships, again, any relationship, thinking that that's somebody's job to do for us, think about that, right? There's control in that. There's possession in that, right? There's what can you do for me in that, right? So this leads me to anybody who knows me or knows any of my work knows that codependency is like my jam. I could talk about it for days. And I butt heads, I think, a lot with some people out there. I know people are like, oh, the word codependency, it's thrown around all the time now. And I'm always like, good, it should be, actually. This is one of those words, as a therapist, I hate like the labeling. It makes me crazy how everybody's a narcissist. You know, there's all these words now that get overused and misunderstood. I actually think codependency is one of those words that doesn't get understood or used enough. And here's why. I believe that we are a codependent society. It's how we're raised to view love, exactly what he's been talking about, right? Is how we are raised to believe like what romance should look like, right? What love should look like, what love should feel like, you should complete me, right? And so I always say, whenever I do like my kind of 101 on codependency, the simplest way that I define codependency is this. If you're good, I'm good. If you're not good, I'm not good. Right? Basically what I'm saying is my sense of okayness is based outside of myself. My sense of worth, my sense of goodness, my sense of self is based outside of myself, right? Now there are a myriad of behaviors that ladder up to this concept of codependency, right? Most of us know things like people pleasing, poor boundaries, right? I could go on forever. But the point is that it's a really good kind of tool when you stop and you ask yourself, again, any relationship, we're not just talking romantic, right? How and when do I show up inauthentically in my relationship in order to make somebody else okay so that I'm okay? Because that's not about them, that's about you, right? How often do I show up in ways, again, that are inauthentic in order to make sure things are copacetic and everything's okay and everything feels calm, right? Which is inauthentic sometimes, right? It's just a really good, I think, easy way of looking at your behavior and saying, am I doing this thing, whatever this thing is, because I need to feel okay? And in order to feel okay, I need to make sure this person's okay.
Also, I'm going to say, like, not being okay, it's not just black and white. So, like, if she is not doing well, of course, as someone who cares about her, I may not be good. I mean, it might ruin my day. I may get down. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to lose sense of self or life, right? So, or if our child is sick, you may not be good, and that's okay, right? So when you say I'm not good, it doesn't mean that you're a robot and there's walls and you don't care about people.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's the common misconception when I talk about this stuff, is people think that what I'm saying is that we should all be hyper-independent, right? Oh, we don't need anybody. That's ridiculous. Of course we need people, right? And I'm like, yes, we are human animals. We are social creatures. Of course we need other people, right? But what we don't need is for our sense of self to be based outside of ourselves, right? We don't need to be seeking in other people our sense of goodness and worthiness and value, right? Which is what a lot of us actually have been taught to do in relationships. And is what we've been taught, that's the purpose of relationships actually, is to give us our value and our identity, right?